Hello, my name is Ashley, and today we will learn about the proportions of the face. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to measure, how to use measurements to figure out where the placement of things on our face should be in regards to our ears, to our eyes, how large to make certain areas. Basically, this is going to give you a great foundation for creating perfect faces in the future. Now, we're going to do this digitally today. I have some pictures pulled up here, and we're going to go through each of them and talk about how to recreate this face, and then at the end we'll recreate a face. So what we're going to start with is we're going to learn how to take the face, how to figure out how wide to make the face, and we're going to do that by actually measuring a few things. So what we're going to start here with from here to here. Basically, we measure from the hairline to the chin to find out how long someone's face is. Now, hairline may differ, and depending on the person, what you're measuring may differ. Some people have a really far back hairline, so it's sometimes you might have to bring your measuring line down a little bit. But it should be around this area. It might be just in front of the hairline. I have a wider forehead, so I tend to, if I'm doing myself, I don't go just in front of my hairline like that. So here on our picture, we have a marking here to show where we've started from, gone down to the bottom of her chin. And we're going to take this measurement and we're actually going to turn it sideways. What that's going to do is show us how wide her face is compared to how long it is. So I have that marked as well. So there we go. So this is the same measurement. I've just turned it on the side. And what we can see is her face is about 3/4 wide as it is long. So you can kind of see that. Now, most of the measurements we're going to do today are going to be for an adult man or woman. Kids, for example, will have different shaped faces. They're going to have different proportions. And depending on a person's individual portions, that might be different. Someone might have a longer forehead. Someone might have an abnormally long chin or something that might throw some of these off. But these are going to be basic guidelines to keep in mind as you go through creating faces. Okay, so we know that her face is about 3/4 wide as it is tall. So we're going to go over here and we're going to start to create that right here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start with a pencil here. I'm recreating this with a pencil tool and eraser stuff, so we can kind of, so it'll be basically the same as if I would, this is the same technique I would use if I were using my charcoals, I should say. Okay, we're gonna go through, now we're gonna have to kind of measure it out. Now sometimes when I measure, I might use my pencil, I might hold it up to a picture and try to eyeball where something is. There are caliper tools you can use just to kind of get an idea of where you need to be. What I'm gonna do here is let's just create this here, kind of this shape going here. I'm actually going to give myself a line here and kind of see how close I am. This will help me out in creating her face here. So take that, turn it. I've seen people use rulers to do this, pieces of paper. Whatever works for you to kind of measure something out is what you want to use. Okay, so I can see from here that I'm kind of a little bit short on my width. So let's go back and we want to probably more like this. That looks about 3/4. Okay, so then I've got basic shape going. Perfect, and then go in and then erase. Kind of get rid of some of the stuff that I'm not going to need. And these are just basic shapes, they're not going to be. There we go. So now we've got kind of a width side to side. Slide it down my trash can here. Okay, perfect. It's just basic. I haven't even started to measure out anything else. I've just got basic lines on there again. Okay, so we figured out our width, side to side, and all that jazz. So let's go ahead. We're going to we're going to make that disappear here. I'm going to start to talk about the thirds rule. A basic face, most people's faces is going to be broken into thirds. Here is our first third. The first third is going to go from that hairline down to roughly the top of the eyebrows. Sometimes it goes down to the bottom of someone's eyebrow, sometimes it's mid-eyebrow. That's one of those things where you kind of have to gauge that for yourself. But that's our first third. That tells us where to plant our eyebrows, okay? Our next third, that middle third, is going to go from those eyebrows down to about the bottom of the nose. Can come up to here, kind of depends on the person again, but typically it's going to run right along here on a person. You can see on hers, it's kind of right here on her nose there. Okay, then you have your bottom line, which is going to be that chin area right here, from that bottom of the nose to the chin. Okay, so that's going to be our first thing, our next thing that we're going to go over to our picture and create. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to try to kind of measure it out. Again, I've seen people use pieces of paper to do this, rulers. Like, it all just depends on what you want to do. Sometimes I'll take my fingers and kind of measure. Where we're doing this digitally, I'm going to cheat a little bit, kind of just make some copies here. Okay, that's about perfect. So we are going to go with that here. We're going to take our pencil, we'll mark that off. Over here and here. That's going to give us all of our lines that we needed. Okay. So this tells us whereabouts eyebrows should be. So eyebrows should be somewhere in this area. Probably making them too long right now, that's okay. And we know that her nose has to be somewhere around here. Okay, there we go. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to find her. We're gonna figure out where her mouth goes. And the mouth is different. Not different, but it has another way of measuring that is different. Basically, your mouth, from here to here, this area, from the part of your lips up to that bottom, that middle proportion line, that middle third, up to there is 1/3 of your chin and the rest is 2/3. So you can see here I have her divided into 1/3 up here, 2/3 down below. We're going to do the same thing over here in order to find that mouth. Right about here is going to be a mouth for us. There we go. We know where she's going to be at now. Okay. Next thing we're going to want to find is eyes, eyeballs. Okay, so right here we're going to go down. Here is her right eye. I have marked it from corner to corner is what I've done. So we're going to go from corner to corner. We're going to use that to measure almost everything else around her face. Okay, so each eye is going to be the same distance when we're looking at a front shot. If we're looking turned or profile, that's going to be different, but when we're looking straight on, each eye is going to be the same size. So these are the same size lines that I copy and pasted over. Okay, in between those eyes is going to be that an eye. So an eye can fit in between each eye. So that is typical of almost everyone. Occasionally you will find people wider, maybe narrower than that. Again, it's going to depend on genetics and things like that. But for the most part, in between the eyes is one whole line. To the sides of our eyes, I also use an eye to measure each of those. That doesn't mean that it is a full eye. It just means that's what I use to figure out how much. For example, on the right side here, it's almost a whole eye, just barely off, just barely less than an eye on that side. On the left side, I'm going to have a lot more space. Okay, so we're going to go over to her face. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily pick a point for an eye here. Okay, let's figure this out and see if we have this made the way we want it to be. Let's see. So it looks like we're good on that. We are probably going to move this eye over a little bit. They're the same size though, which is good. If I move it over just a little bit, it looks like we've got it working just fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to draw this eye over just a tiny bit. Just make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So we've got kind of stuff mapped out. Nothing is ready to go yet. This is the point where I would typically take my artwork and kind of rub it out a little bit. We're going to kind of do that here. And we'll go ahead and move forward now. So I've done that. We are going to go ahead and go crazy now. So we kind of have ideas of where everything should be. This is a point at which a little bit of artistic, what you kind of want to, how you want to do things is going to come into play a lot. Different artists have different ways of doing it. What I like to do is actually take my pencil and lay it along the angles that I see on someone's eye. For example, I might lay my pencil, let's see, get down here. I might take my pencil and notice I can see how this is. I can see all the kind of angles that are in her eye. I'll actually lay my pencil along those on my picture and lock my wrist. And I could take that and recreate that in my image, in my picture. So we're going to do a little bit of that right now with this. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pencil right along my picture, kind of find that point over here. Oh, I have the wrong tool. Okay. And kind of recreate those images I see. Again, I'm holding it up to my picture, locking my wrist, and then I just come over and add it in there. Just come over and add it in there like that. We're going to go ahead, now that we've kind of got some features mapped out, we'll go back through. Again, I'm putting my pen up against the picture where I see angles in her jaw. We'll do the side of her face, etc. So I guess I'll show you right here. We're going to start with this angle right here and create that. Our chin's pretty rounded, then we'll come over here and kind of create that shape. Get rid of that big white spot. It's looking kind of funky. But there you have it. That is the basics of creating a face, of using proportions to create that face. If you feel like you missed something in the video, make sure you rewind it, watch it as many times as you want. And if you really enjoyed it and you want to learn more, make sure you jump into a live class with us. Have a good day.